The topic is larynx and anatomical basis of laryngitis and recurrent laryngeal nerve injury. So in this we will be describing the competency, the wall of the larynx, nerve supply, blood supply, actions of intrinsic and extrinsic muscles of larynx. So functions of larynx are to produce voice, protect airway especially during swallowing, and keep the airway patent. Larynx is located at a point where respiratory and digestive tract separate. You can see the picture of the larynx. We will go into details. Then parts. Larynx can be divided into three regions. Supraglottic part or supraglottis part is from the upper border of the epiglottis, as shown in the picture, to the false vocal folds and ventricle. The arrow shows the vestibular folds. Glottis is a small part. It is between the true vocal folds, as shown in the picture. Then we have subglottis. This part of larynx is below the true vocal folds and extends to the inferior border of cricoid cartilage. This can be seen in the picture. Then we go to cartilages. We can see some other cartilages in the picture. Larynx has a total of 9 cartilages, out of which 3 are single cartilages and big. They are thyroid, cricoid and epiglottis. So in this you can see thyroid cartilage, you can see the and also cricoid cartilages, and paired are there. 3 paired cartilages are there: arytenoids, corniculate and cuneiform. In the picture you can see arytenoid cartilages. So first we will start with thyroid cartilage. Thyroid cartilage is shield-like for the larynx. It is the largest cartilage. It is having 2 laminae. The blue one which are shown are the laminae, quadrangular in shape, and they meet anteriorly at the superior thyroid notch. In the upper border you can see one notch, that is superior thyroid notch, and that angle where they meet, that forms Adam's apple. In the picture you can see the thyroid cartilage continues in downwards as inferior horns, and the inferior horns articulate with the cricoid arch, as shown in the picture, at the cricothyroid joints. In the upper part you can see the thyroid cartilage is suspended from the hyoid bone by the membrane, which is shown as lines, and on the sides it is by thyroid ligaments. When we go to cricoid cartilage, it is a ring shaped and it is the only cartilage forming a complete ring. It is narrow anteriorly and forms the cricoid arch. Posteriorly it enlarges to form cricoid lamina. So arch, cricoid arch and cricoid lamina can be seen in the picture. Cricoid arch articulates with the inferior horns of thyroid cartilage as shown in the previous slide. Cricoid lamina, as shown in this slide, articulates at its upper border with the base of arytenoid. Epiglottis. This is behind the thyroid cartilage. It guards the entrance of larynx. It folds posteriorly over the opening of larynx during swallowing. It is leaf-shaped, flexible and made of elastic cartilage. It is attached to the back of thyroid cartilage at superior thyroid notch. Epiglottis remains unossified during lifetime. So you can see in the epiglottis in the picture. Then we go to important unpaid arytenoid. Arytenoid are paired and they are pyramidal in shape. You can see they are resting on the upper border of cricoid lamina. Base extends posterolaterally and has a muscular process and anteriorly vocal process. They can be seen in the picture. Vocal process provides attachment to vocal cords. And arytenoid apex, you can see it is directed superiorly. Other cartilages. Paired cartilages, corniculates and cuneiforms are small cartilages. So we are not going to discuss them. Vocal cords. You can see in the picture vocal cords. They control sound production. Each vocal fold has vocal ligament. What is vocal ligament? It is an elastic tissue. The elastic tissue, it is the thickened free edge of conus elasticus or lateral cricothyroid ligament. As shown in the picture, you can see the conus elasticus, and this vocal ligament is the thickened free edge of conus elasticus. It also consists of vocalis muscle. What is vocalis muscle? It consists of fibers that form part of thyroarytenoid muscle. Rima glottidis. It is the opening present between the true vocal folds or vocal cords. So coming to rima glottidis or glottis is opening present between the true vocal cords. You can see in the picture. It is the gap between the true folds. Vocal cord abduction and adduction. Vocal cords are abducted during breathing. That is inspiration. And they are tightly adducted in straining efforts and also before cough and sneeze. Voice production is the result of escape of small amounts of air between the adducted vocal folds. False vocal cords. These are vestibular folds. They extend between, as seen in the picture, between thyroid and arytenoid cartilages. They have little or no part in the production of voice. Their function is protective. Vestibular fold is the membrane, or vestibular fold is a mucous membrane, and it is the lower border of quadrangular membrane. You can see in the picture, you are seeing the quadrangular membrane, and the vestibular fold is formed by lower margin of quadrangular membrane. Now we go to ventricle. Between the vocal cords and false cords on each side, there is a lateral depression lined by mucous membrane known as ventricle of the larynx. They contain mucous glands, and that mucus is poured onto vocal cords. Quadrangular membrane. It is a sheet of fibrous connective tissue that extends between arytenoids and epiglottis. Its upper border is covered by mucous membrane and is called as aryepiglottic fold, and its lower border forms the vestibular fold. Conus elasticus. It is attached to upper border of cricoid arch. As you can see in the picture, conus elasticus, it is attached to upper border of cricoid arch. Its upper border is the vocal ligament that we discussed earlier, which extends between vocal process of arytenoid cartilage and angle between thyroid lamina. Vocal ligament is covered by stratified squamous epithelium, non-keratinized epithelium. It is the vocal fold or true vocal cord. Muscles of larynx. They are classified as extrinsic and intrinsic. Extrinsic laryngeal muscles move the larynx as a whole, depress or elevate the hyoid and larynx. Infrahyoid strap muscles like omohyoid, stenohyoid, sternothyroid, thyroid or depressors. Muscles of larynx. Palatopharyngeus and stylopharyngeus muscles are elevators. Intrinsic laryngeal muscles move parts inside the larynx. They control the length and tension and movements of vocal folds, and they help in the closure of laryngeal inlet. Now we come to intrinsic muscles of larynx. We discuss three intrinsic muscles. One is the posterior cricoarytenoid muscle. You can see in the picture the origin of the posterior cricoarytenoid muscle is from posterior surface of lamina of cricoid, that you can see in the picture. Insertion, it is into posterior surface of muscular process of arytenoid, that also you can see in the picture. And action, it abduct the vocal cords as shown. Then second muscle is lateral cricoarytenoid muscle. Origin, you can see it is from the upper margin and external surface of cricoid arch, that you can see in the picture. Insertion, it is inserted into muscular process of arytenoid anteriorly, and its action is it abducts the vocal cord. Cricothyroid muscle. Cricothyroid muscle arises, as shown in the picture, from the arch of cricoid. Insertion, it inserts into inferior margin and inferior horn of thyroid cartilage. Action, it tensors the vocal cords. Nerves. The larynx is innervated by branches of vagus nerve. Sensory supply of laryngopharynx is the internal laryngeal branch. Supply sensation above vocal cords, that is supraglottic and glottis, that is by internal laryngeal nerve. Recurrent laryngeal nerve supplies sensation below the cords, subglottis. Motor nerve supply. All intrinsic muscles are supplied by recurrent laryngeal nerve except for cricothyroid, which is supplied by external laryngeal nerve. Vessels. So vessels include arteries, that is superior and inferior laryngeal arteries. They are from superior and inferior thyroid arteries. They accompany the internal and recurrent laryngeal nerves respectively. Venous drainage is by corresponding veins. Then we go to describe anatomical aspects of laryngitis. Larynx is an important organ for immunological decision making in the airway passage. It is a major site of exposure to pathogens and irritants. Studies have revealed larynx associated lymphoid tissue, a type of mucosa associated lymphoid tissue specific to the larynx. Dendritic cells, T cells and macrophages were detected in the histological sections procured from human fetal laryngeal tissue. Dendritic cells capture pathogens and present pathogens to other cells for destruction. Macrophages. Macrophages engulf and digest pathogens and then present their antigens to other cells in the adaptive immune mechanism, immune system. T cells are white cells or white blood cells that mature in the thymus and have receptors on their surface. They stimulate a defense against specific pathogen. Helicobacter pylori colonize the surface of larynx, and that its its detection is correlated with laryngeal inflammation and benign vocal fold lesions. Several studies investigated the role of H. pylori in the pathogenesis of chronic laryngitis with positive results and reported a 54% prevalence of H. pylori in chronic laryngitis. Other researchers using alternate research methodology concluded that H. pylori are present in the majority of the patients with vocal polyps and vocal nodules. Anatomical basis of recurrent laryngeal nerve injury. A unilateral recurrent laryngeal nerve paralysis may pass undetected as about 1/3 of patients are asymptomatic. Left recurrent laryngeal nerve is more liable to injury than the right because of its longer course than the right. The incidence of unilateral vocal cord paralysis is more than bilateral paralysis. Embryology. It is the nerve. Recurrent laryngeal nerve is the nerve of 6th pharyngeal arch. On the left side, the 6th aortic arch retains its position as ductus arteriosus. So the nerve, recurrent laryngeal nerve, left recurrent laryngeal nerve is found below ligamentum arteriosum, that is obliterated ductus arteriosus. On the right side, the 6th aortic arch obliterates, loses its communication with dorsal aorta. So the right recurrent laryngeal nerve winds around the right subclavian artery. Anatomical basis. Because of its extensive course, the left recurrent laryngeal nerve is more liable to injury than the right. It is vulnerable to pressure from aortic aneurysm, thoracic surgery, intrathoracic masses. It is also easily injured during thyroid surgery due to its variable relationship with inferior thyroid artery. It is also closely related, that is lateral medial or that is suspensory ligament of Berry just before it enters larynx. Thank you.